Fasti Capitolini. The Fasti Capitolini, or Capitoline Fasti, are a list of the chief magistrates of the Roman Republic, extending from the early 5th century BC down to the reign of Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Together with similar lists found at Rome and elsewhere, they form part of a chronology referred to as the Fasti Annales, Fasti Consulares, or Consular Fasti, or occasionally just the Fasti. The Capitoline Fasti were originally engraved on marble tablets erected in the Roman Forum. The main portions were discovered in a fragmentary condition and removed from the Forum in 1546, as ancient structures were dismantled to produce material for the construction of St. Peter's Basilica. They were brought to the Palazzo Conservatori on the adjacent Capitoline Hill, where they remain as part of the collection of the Capitoline Museums, together with other Roman antiquities. Together with the histories of writers such as Livy and Dionysius of Halicarnassus, the Capitoline Fasti form one of the primary sources for Roman chronology. History. The term Fasti originally referred to calendars published by the pontifices, indicating the days on which business could be transacted fasti, and those on which it was prohibited for religious reasons nefasti. These calendars frequently included lists of the annual magistrates. In many ancient cultures, the most common way to refer to individual years was by the names of the presiding magistrates. The annually elected consuls were the eponymous magistrates at Rome, and so lists of the consuls going back many years were useful for dating historical events. Over time, such lists also became known as fasti. The Capitoline Fasti are thought to have been engraved in one of two places. First, the wall of the Regia, originally the residence or official seat of the Roman kings, and later the official residence of the Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest of Rome between 36 and 30 BC. The Annals Maximi, records of Roman history from the earliest period to the late 2nd century BC, and one of the sources consulted by ancient historians, were stored in the Regia. Alternatively, the Fasti Capitolini may have been inscribed on the Arch of Augustus in 18 BC. In either case, they were subsequently continued down to the death of Augustus in AD 14. In 1540, Pope Paul Roman III authorized the recycling of stone from the Forum for the construction of St. Peter's Basilica. The structures in the part of the Forum where the Fasti were discovered were dismantled between August 15 and September 14, 1546. Some of the stone was sold to stonecutters to be reused in the construction, while some was sold to lime burners to be used for cement. The work was carried out by a company of local quarrymen, with little regard for the archaeological value of the ancient structures, but the scholars Onofrio Panvinio and Piero Ligorio observed the demolition and noticed a portion of the Fasti still embedded between pilasters in a wall. Other portions were found scattered nearby, and the scholars rescued them, ordering further tunnels dug in order to search for more fragments. Some were found embedded in nearby buildings, indicating that stone from the same area had previously been reused. 30 fragments of the Fasti Capitolini were recovered, along with 26 fragments of the Acta Triumphalia, or Fasti Triumphales, dating to the same period, and recording the names of Roman generals who had been honored with a triumph. Cardinal Alessandro Farnese brought them to the Palazzo dei Conservatori on the nearby Capitoline Hill, where Ligorio and Michelangelo reconstructed them, based on the observations of Panvinio and Ligorio. 2 additional fragments were discovered during excavations in the Forum 1817 and 1818. Others were discovered in excavations from 1872 to 1878, with the last discovered in the Tiber in 1888. Today, the Palazzo forms part of the Capitoline Museums, and the Capitoline Fasti are housed in the Sala della Lupa, the Salon of the Wolf, together with the Capitoline Wolf, Contents. Due to the fragmentary condition of the Fasti Capitolini, it is not entirely certain whether they began with the first year of the Republic, or with the kings, as did the related Fasti triumphales. The first year, which is partially extant, is 483 BC. The last surviving year is AD 13, and the Fasti probably ended the following year. The extant years include the names of the consuls, who gave their names to each year, as well as consuls suffecti, who replaced those who resigned or died during their year of office. The Fasti also include the dictators and magistri equitum for the years in which they were appointed, as well as the censors, together with the decemvirs and consular tribunes for the years in which they were elected in place of consuls. The original form of the Fasti is thought to have consisted of 4 large tablets, each of which was several feet high. The first ran to 390 BC, the second to 293, the third to 154, and the fourth to 9 BC, with the remaining years to AD 14 in the margin. The Fasti include a number of notes indicating when the office holders mentioned resigned, died, or were killed during their years of office, and they provide additional information, such as the years in which important wars began, the reasons for the nomination of dictators, the number of the lustrum taken by the censors, and the number of years since the founding of Rome, according to the era of Cato, given every 10 years. Cato placed the founding of Rome 1 year later than Varro, so the years given in the Fasti appear later than the dates given in the columns on the left. The Capitoline Fasti were first transcribed and published by Marliani at Rome in 1549, Sigonius at Modena in 1550, and Robortelli at Venice in 1555. Early publications were heavily edited to give the appearance of completeness. The current reconstruction is part of the Corpus Inscriptionum Latinarum, appearing in the first volume, and since amended several times. Historical accuracy. Although some scholars have questioned the accuracy of the Capitoline Fasti, particularly with regard to the earliest portion, the overall chronology is remarkably consistent from one source to the next, and all of the Roman historians and annalists place the beginning of the Republic within a span of about 7 or 8 years. The Fasti Capitolini represent the longest version of the chronology, and current scholarly opinion accepts nearly all of the list, with 2 main exceptions: the so-called dictator years, 4 years during the latter part of the 4th century BC, in which the dictators of the preceding years are said to have continued in office without the election of consuls, and also a span of time leading up to the passage of the Lex Licinia Sextia in 367 BC. The 4 dictator years are generally regarded as a late interpolation, as such a remarkable departure from the Roman constitution, which normally limited the term of a dictator to 6 months, is not mentioned by any of the Roman historians, nor are the dictator years found in any source other than the Capitoline Fasti. The so-called anarchy earlier in the 4th century is less easily explained. Transcription. The following tables give the magistrates and events from the most recent reconstruction of the Fasti Capitolini. The years supplied are based on the Varronian chronology. Years AUC given in the original table are provided under notes. Portions of names and text in square brackets have been interpolated. Periods full stops have been supplied for abbreviations. An dash is used for missing or unknown filiations or other abbreviated praenomina. Other missing text is indicated with an ellipsis in brackets. These tables uses modern conventions for distinguishing between I and J, and between U and V. Otherwise, the names and notes are given as spelled in the Fasti. Archaic Roman spellings, such as Aemilius for Emilius and Causa for Causa, have been preserved. A list of Latin phrases and abbreviations appearing below follows the last table. Magistracies. Cens equals censors, censors. Cos equals consuls, consuls. Dict equals dictator. Imp equals imperator, emperor. Mag ec equals magister equitum. Tribuni militum cos. Pot equals tribuni militum consulari potestate, military tribunes with consular powers, or consular tribunes. Triumvir equals triumvir re publici constituendi, triumvir to restore the republic. 5th century BC, 4th century BC, 3rd century BC, 2nd century BC, 1st century BC, 1st century AD. Formulas and abbreviations. Abdicarent at decemviri consulari imperio ferent equals abdicated for the appointment of decemvirs with consular imperium. Abdicavit abd equals he resigned, abdicated. Ambo primi de plebe equals the first time both were from the plebeians. Bellum Antiochionum equals war with Antiochus. Bellum Gallicum Cisalpinum equals war with the Cisalpine Gauls. Bellum Marsicum equals Marsic or social war. Bellum Persicum equals war with Perseus' Third Macedonian War. Bellum Philippicum equals war with Philip's Second Macedonian War. Bellum Punicum primum secundum tertium equals first second third Punic War. Clavifigendi causa equals to drive a nail into the wall of the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on the Capitol, a sacred rite invoked in times of emergency. Comitirum hadendorum causa equals to call the comitia, usually for the election of new magistrates. Decemviri consulari imperio legibus scribundis facti eadem anno equals decemvirs with consular imperium to record the laws were appointed elected the same year. Hoc anno dictator et magister equitum sine consulibus fuerunt equals this year the dictator and magister equitum continued without consuls. In ius locum factus est in loc. Fe equals in his place was chosen, elected, appointed. In magistratu damnatus est in mag. Dam. Equals he was condemned in his magistracy. In magistratu mortus est in mag. Mort. In mme equals he died in his magistracy. In magistratu oxysis est in mag. Oc. Equals he was slain in his magistracy. In prolio oxysis est equals he was slain in the war. Interregni causa equals due to the interregnum. Latinarum feriarum causa equals to hold the Latin festival. Lustrum fecerunt L. F numeral equals the xth lustrum the census was made held, taken. Postea quam dictatura censura abiit equals after leaving the dictatorship censorship. Primus e plebe equals the first from among the plebeians. Quaestionum exercendarum causa equals to pursue an investigation. Qui in hoc honor postea name appellatus est equals who in his honor was afterward called name. Qui scriba furet equals who had been a scribe. Re gerendi causa r. C equals to perform a task, usually a military command. Re publici constituendi causa equals to reform the constitution of the republic. Seditionis sedendi equals to quell sedition. Senatus legendi causa equals to fill up the role of the Senate. Sine collega equals without a colleague. Sine magister equitum equals without a magister equitum. Solus consulatum gessit equals the sole consul elected. Tribunicia potestate equals holding the tribunician power, the power to veto or forbid an action of the magistrates. Vitio facti abdicarent equals they resigned due to a vitium, a fault in the auspices.